Welcome to StartupHakk. My name is Spencer Thomason. I am the CEO and co-founder of CleanRouter, as well as many other products. Here are some lessons that I've learned building a successful business while challenging startup norms. My challenge is to push you to rethink startup success. Welcome to StartupHakk. Welcome to StartupHakk. Today we're going to talk a little bit about how we built our stake pool servers. Now, we took a delve into building a stake pool because for us, as we're building out some technology on the Cardano platform, it made sense to have our own staking pool that we could, one, contribute back to the network so that we could help keep Cardano stable. So everybody who builds stake pools helps to contribute. But two, the second reason that we did this is, as with a lot of things, there's a personal gain in this that will allow us to then use our staking pool to be able to perform all the transactions that we're performing on our staking pool. So this is one of the things that we're doing. So I'm going to describe a little bit about some of the hardware and some of the steps that we took. There's a great article, a great how-to on how to put together your Cardano staking pool on CoinCashew. So I'm going to put the link down below in the description. So if you want to see some of these details, you can go check this out. So one of the first things that you need to do is you need to build a set of nodes. And so you're going to produce a main node, which is a producer node. And this is one of the node that actually is one of the producing blocks. So it will have your keys on them. So this is a node that you never want to be on the internet. So it obviously has to be connected to the internet to be able to connect to the nodes, but you don't want to put a public address on this node. So this node should never be publicly accessible to the outside. So this producer node will then connect to a relay node or a set of relay nodes. Now, if you're going to the number of relay nodes that you can use are going to be 1 to n relay nodes. And the producer node, which is one that actually is doing the heavy lifting of the producing the blocks for the blockchain, this one then connects to 1 to n relay nodes. Now, if you're going to do more than one relay node, then those each need to have their own public IP address. And so we're going to go ahead and do 2 relay nodes. We really want to be high availability. So we're going to do 2 relay nodes, both with each with their own public IP address, and then 1 producer node. So this producer node will point to both of the relay nodes that we're producing. The next piece that you need to have is you need to have an offline storage that contains your keys. This is a storage that you want to have what they call air gapped. And so air gapping is a term in security where you have a machine that's completely offline. So there's no way that it could ever be breached, like literally ever possible. And so what we're actually doing for that is we're actually using a Linux Live CD, Linux Live USB drive, and booting up the Linux Live on it. Then using Linux Live, we're going to copy all of our keys and all of the setup over to this Linux Live distro that's going to be running from a thumb drive. And then we're going to take this thumb drive and put it in a safe. Literally, like it'll be that impossible, but we always have this backup then for the keys. And so that's then this air-gapped server, or this offline cold storage, they call it. So you'll see it referred to as both. This allows you to then back up the keys that the producer node is using to build its blocks on the blockchain. And that's pretty much it. And then from there, we're going to build an intermediate server, which is going to be the one that actually is running Haskell and doing some of the actual smart contract work. But that intermediate server will know to point directly to our set of nodes in our stake pool, so that all transactions that it processes will be processed through our stake pool. This will boost the reputation of our stake pool. It will also then charge those gas fees directly to us. And so this is a great way to kind of make an ulterior motive to running a stake pool while still contributing back with a very high availability, great stake pool that's going to have a fair amount of, that we're starting off with a fair amount of ADA stake too. So I want to talk a little bit about the hardware that we're using to build out our the various pieces of our staking pool. So we built out one very large VM, and this VM has a large 16-core processor, has 80 gigabytes of RAM, a 1 terabyte NVMe SSD, as well as another 2 terabyte SSD. So pretty decent size hardware, right? And so the way that we're building this and allocating the different resources is we're dedicating four core and 16 gigs of RAM with 256 gigs to the NVMe for the main producer node. Then we're going to run a relay node on the same host machine, but this host machine will have the same spec, or the VM will have the same specs on the same host machine, the 4-core, 16 gigs, 256 gigs. But this relay node, we're going to put the 256 on the SSD instead of the NVMe. And this relay node is the only one that will have a public address. So none of the rest of these will be publicly accessible. Everything else will be internal communications between those, and then just only publicly accessible for the relay node. We're also then doing the offline storage, as I said. We're going to do that on a removable encrypted thumb drive so that those keys are completely secure. We're then also running a second server, a bare metal server for another relay node. And this relay node will be another 4-core, 16 gigs of RAM. This one just has a regular SSD in it. It's a little bit older of a hardware. It doesn't have NVMe. But for the relay node, that should be more than sufficient. So this relay node then is going to be hosted at a different location, so it has a different public IP address. So this is all the hardware that we needed in order to build out our staking pool, and this is going to make it so that we're able to run a very high availability, very high-end hardware. Those specs are meeting the future spec requirements, so we feel pretty good that we're building out a set of the staking pool that will be good enough for the next 2 to 3 years. So judging by the history, it seems like this should be plenty to be able to continue to manage the blockchain, particularly in the RAM, so that we can manage the blockchain without having to ever hit disk. So anyways, that's a little bit about how we've built out our staking pool and what we've done for it. I'll put a link again down in the comments. Make sure you check it out if you're trying to follow some of this to build out a staking pool. And feel free to leave a comment in the questions, or leave a question in the comments if you have any questions on how we've built out our staking pool. Make sure that you grab your CleanRouter version 5's out, and people love it. Also make sure that you get your kids their CleanPhone so that they can be safe while they're on the go, and you can help to manage the amount of screen time that your kids are getting on their phones. Thanks, have a good one. Welcome to StartupHakk.